Broke right at the weld. Well dang. In today's video, I'm going to try to fix a common problem with the XJ. The rear axle has two shocks, one on each side, and the bottom stud that mounts to the axle, a lot of times the threaded portion likes to break off and you have no way to attach the shock or hold the shock back in its place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to weld this bolt onto the stud on the bottom of my axle, and I'm not a welder. So my daughter's away on her next contract, she's a welder, so I'm going to try to weld this the best that I can. Now all I have to do is have enough, it's just got to be welded good enough to hold enough tension with this nut and washer to hold that shock in place. It's not going to be structural, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll see. I think I've watched her enough, maybe watched enough YouTube videos to not know what I'm doing, but to make it good enough. Let's try. So I figured I better do a little bit of practice on two bolts that I had. These are 7/16 bolts. The final bolt that I'm going to use for the repair is going to be a 1/2 inch bolt. So is this ugly? Of course it is. But I want something that's functional. So now, got it in a vise. I'm going to see hitting on it if I can get it to break. Probably will break, but let's see if it breaks at the weld, the bolt, or what. Broke right at the weld. Well dang. More practice. So what I did is I didn't have penetration, or during the practice I really didn't care about beveling anything. When I actually do the Jeep, I'm going to actually bevel it, try to get welding rod as deep as I can down inside there and weld on the outside. Alright, so I think the practice weld went good. When I couldn't strike up before, I didn't have the amperage high enough, so I turned the amperage up. I practiced on a piece of flat stock, went back to the bolts, welded those if you can call it welding. It took a lot to actually break that, had to hit it pretty hard with a sledge. So I'm going to prepare the Jeep, prepare the bolt, and go ahead and weld this thing. And here's the finished product of my booger weld. That thing looks terrible. Am I proud of it? Yeah, I reckon. Now I'm sure that was very painful for some of you to watch. That's cool. No shame on my part, but I believe it's gonna hold. Seems pretty strong. All it has to do is hold a nut on there to hold on my shock. First time ever welding. And I was trying to get more and more filler rod up here at the top, but it just kept burning through. I probably had the welder too hot, I don't know, but you know what, whatever. Let's throw this shock on there, see what happens. Well, here's the finished product, and this is actually something that I am proud of. I got pressure all the way on the rubber grommet, put quite a bit of torque on it, didn't break, it's holding in place. Can't see the old nasty weld. Now it's time to hook it up to the top. As you can see, the studs are broke out like they are in every XJ. So I've got some of those field goal nuts I'm gonna put on top. Make it easy to get in there and finish it with bolts. So here's the field goal post I was telling you about. This replaces the stud, the two studs that's up on top that break all the time. I'll show you where to put it. It's got two nuts welded on it. And you feed it right up here into this hole. Boy, I think something difficult you ought to do it holding the camera. Ah, geez, everything in the way. Feed that in. And then fish around until the nuts show up, just like that. Then you put your shock in place, thread the bolts into it, and you're good to go. And then you feed your bolts in there. It takes only about 10 seconds now, when it was a pain in the butt before. You can still see the end of the field goal post right here, or you could call that flag, whatever you want to call it. Next time makes it a lot easier to get out. If you need to get it out, tighten them up, good to go. So what did you think about that repair? Could it have been done better? Of course it could have. Was it correct? Of course it was not, because I don't know what I'm doing. So let me know what I could have done better in the comments. If you want to talk about how bad my welding was in the comments, that's okay. Just don't say anything that's going to get you kicked off of YouTube. But see, when I searched the internet, I could not find any videos showing specifically how to weld new threads onto a stud or any type of stud welding or anything like that. So I decided I'm just going to try it. And as long as it holds, who cares? It's good, right? So I appreciate you coming along with me with this Stanley Way XJ repair. See you next time, and thanks for watching.